Hey everybody, long time no see. On this channel anyway, I'm still making videos over on Big Joel, but I haven't touched Little Joel in a while, and I'm sorry about that. So this video is my attempt to do something slightly new. I thought it would be a fun perk for my patrons to be able to ask me questions, and then for me to answer them in a monthly video that I put out for everybody. So if you want to ask me a question, I'll answer it. And then I don't know, I think it's a better perk than answering one question at the end of every video to answer a bunch of people's questions in a dedicated video. And it's the sort of perk I can do now because I have Little Joel and I couldn't do before. Also, I just want to be able to do stuff on Little Joel. I miss uploads. Anyway, that's this video. I'm going to answer the questions of my patrons. And if you guys like it, then that'll be a permanent kind of perk that I do. Pretty exciting. I find myself asking, what questions do you have? Mirabai D asks, what is your favorite expression that your dog makes? So sometimes she'll make this face where she's kind of like, do you know what I'm talking about? When sometimes dogs just look so blank and empty on the inside. Sometimes she'll just look mouth agape too and look like she just has nothing at all on her mind. You know what I mean? Like that. That's probably my favorite expression for my dog. Milo C asks, what was your favorite book as a kid? Ender's Game, probably. I really liked Ender's Game. I read that book a bunch of times, and it's good. Rainier Robinson asks, do you find many worthwhile conclusions in despair? What gives you the most unabashed hope? Okay, so I don't know if I find many worthwhile conclusions in despair. We're all gonna die, right? That's a worthwhile conclusion that can come from despair in some way. Somebody you loved is dead and you'll never get to see them again, right? That's a despairing thing to think about. And when you think about it, there's something worthwhile about it. So maybe there's worthwhile conclusions from despair. I don't know. What gives you the most unabashed hope? I don't know if I have any unabashed hope, but as far as hope is concerned, I don't know. Things have been getting better on a big scale for a long time. 100 years ago, people pretty much lived in shit hovels or whatever. I don't know. I'm not a historian, but it seems like they lived in shit hovels. Lots of bad stuff from the past isn't around anymore. That gives me a lot of hope. It's not all bad news on a long enough time scale. Here's something that gives me a lot of hope. Imagine for a second if human beings, instead of living to roughly 100 years of age, what if they lived for 1,000 years, right? What if every person lived for 1,000 years? Do you think, honestly, that they'd be freaking out right now about the current political situation? Or do you think that you, a 700-year-old, would be like, yeah, man, it's bad now, but it was bad during the plague, too. So, I don't know. I mean, it's probably better now, all things considered, given what happened during 1472. You know what I mean? So that's something that gives me hope. I don't know if maybe that'll help some of you out. BandSnakes123 asks, what's your writing process for a video? How do you choose your subjects? Do you have any tips, routines that you follow when writing? That's a really hard question to begin to answer for me at this point because, now that I've been doing video writing for 9 fucking years, 8-9 years or something like that, it's so much a part of the way that I think constantly that it's hard for me to articulate the process, and I'm not sure that I can give much value to you guys. How do I choose the topics for my videos? I don't know. I think that would be pretty interesting. If that was a YouTube video, I'd want to watch that, and then I try hard to sort of make it a reality. It used to be the case that I would have to wait to have a good idea for a video, and then when I had it, I'd be able to write it down. But these days, I can choose the abstract concept of a video. This topic sounds funny, that topic sounds good, and then I'll just force myself over the course of months to make that work. And, that can be more frustrating, but it also leads, I think, to videos that are more interesting, especially for you guys, right? I take it to be part of my job on YouTube, not just to be interested in things, but to be interested in things that you guys find interesting. And so I have to, try to do that. You can pretend to find stuff interesting and churn out slop content, but that won't be very good. So what you actually have to do is force yourself to be really, really interested in stuff that you wouldn't have normally been interested in. And that's a complicated process, but it's also very gratifying to me because it means you get to be interested in lots of stuff. And it means you can get, it means that you have a YouTube channel, which I like having. Spaceman117 asks, what is the best San Rio character? Man, I don't know. My Melody, maybe? I mean, I think there's this sort of elegance that My Melody has, a sort of iconic, beautiful, otherworldly, glorious elegance that My Melody has. I mean, I like Pom Pom Purin. I like his hole, so that's a good answer. You know, Gudetama's pretty cute too. So it's probably a three-way. No, it's probably My Melody. Like, thinking about it now, just objectively speaking, in terms of raw sort of animal quality, it is My Melody. I'm pretty sure, you know? Riley Bangs asks, are you going to do another trash day? So trash day is when I just like 7 years ago or something now, I made, I think, a video where I just had a lot of hot takes and I just said them all in one video and there was no connective tissue between them. I think it's very sweet to ask if I'm going to do another one, given the amount of time I've spent not making trash days. I'll think about it. I like the idea of making another one. Maybe, you know, that said, you know, I think that since I've started making Little Joel and since I've become a more adept writer on Big Joel, I think every video kind of should have the spirit of Trash Day in that it feels fun and spontaneous and organic and not like I'm rehearsing a thesis, which is how my videos used to feel. So I try to bring the Trash Day spirit with me wherever I go these days, but maybe I'll make another Trash Day. I think that's a very fun idea, and I like that you want to watch another one. I think that's very sweet. Jake Wood asks, are you religious? No. Can you imagine after all this time if I was like low-key a fucking Catholic? Max Mersman Jones asks, you seem really comfortable with yourself in ways that can be really hard for men. Curious how you come to that place, and if you have any advice on overcoming masculine self-criticism, generally interested in your relationship with gender. So I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what that means. Like, I don't think I'm much more comfortable with any aspect of myself than any man is, but these sorts of things can be invisible to you, can't they? Like, maybe I'm more comfortable with certain things that I'm not even aware of, in the way that a fish is more comfortable with water than I am. You know what I mean? So maybe. I don't think I have any sage remarks on gender. I just think I'm a normal type guy in my own personal relationship with gender. I know is the answer. I don't think I have any particular insights into gender or anything that could help anybody to be a better man. Maybe that is my great insight, that I don't feel like I have any particular wisdom on manhood. That's true. I don't. Arapima Slim asks, hi Joels, big and little. How did you build the confidence to share your writing, comedic, poetic, and analytical? Do you have any advice for writers who hope to share their art someday but feel very vulnerable and afraid to do so? So I think that the number one tool that any artist probably needs to have ultimately, especially early on, is a pretty healthy amount of self-delusion and a sort of raw compulsion to just keep creating what they're creating, right? Like, I don't necessarily think that my first 20 videos are very good, and in particular, the way I deliver them is pretty unpleasant. I think that there's something there. Like, I think there's a reason why I felt like I should keep doing it, but the videos aren't very good, in my view, and it makes sense that I wasn't very successful when I made them. But I, at the time, really thought they were just pretty good. Like, I didn't have the sort of complicated reservations about them that I would today. I didn't know enough about writing YouTube videos to know that there was things I could have been doing better. And so I just did it. And I did it to an audience that was very small and very forgiving, and that grew with my talent at the craft. And that was nice. All this to say, I think that you should try to make work that you're proud of and that you should try to keep doing it. And eventually, if you do those two things, if you continue to make work you're proud of, you will want to show it to people. You won't just want to hold on to it in a private journal forever. The reason why most of us end up wanting to write things down is to share them with people, right? So eventually, I think you will want to do that. And if you don't ever want to do it, or if you're too shy or scared, I don't know. I think you'll work it out, though. I think that if you keep doing it, I think you'll work it out. But I don't have any advice for getting you there. I'm sorry. Nightbearess00 asks, I recently had a dream where you were sitting by a fountain on my college campus, chatting with a person I didn't recognize. I said aloud, is that Big Joel? And passersby turned their heads toward you as if to see if it was true. You let out an exasperated sigh, upset that you had been discovered, and frustrated that people would now swarm you like paparazzi. Really? You exclaimed. Then you poofed into a small bug and scuttled away, escaping the crowd. I felt bad that I'd inconvenienced you, stolen away some of the time you wanted to spend with your friends. Then I woke up. I guess here's a question. Do you like being greeted by fans in public? Yeah, I do. You know, I've often thought that I'm at like the perfect level of being a famous person, because I think that probably, all things considered, being Taylor Swift is more trouble than it's worth, right? Like, sure, you get to have plenty of money and you get to do whatever you want, and people worship the ground you walk on, and there's a lot of nice stuff in that for Taylor Swift, I'm sure, and I hope she has passion for that. But you can't go to a restaurant. You can't just like be a normal person walking around. I think that, you know, walking around as I do, and occasionally having somebody walk over to me and with a cautious look be like, are you on YouTube? And then I have to be like, yes, I run the YouTube channel Big Joel. And they go, yes, you do. Yes, you do. And then, you know, we chit chat for a second, and then, you know, that doesn't happen again for another few weeks. That's pretty good. And I'll be honest with you, like, it jazzes me up, you know. I really appreciate it when people like my videos, of course, and you know, they're all very nice and stuff. So yeah, I do like it. Definitely don't feel bad if you want to approach me. Jason8724 asks, what was the inspiration for the Mousetrap video? So for those who don't know, I just recently put a short story on YouTube called You're Into Mousetrap YouTube. What was the inspiration for that video? Well, I was watching mousetrap videos, right? Each of the traps I feature in the video that I made are just real mousetraps that are talked about on a YouTube channel. I never lie about the YouTube channel I'm talking about. I didn't name him. I actually don't remember the name of the channel I'm talking about, although I'm sure you can find it. I think it's the biggest mousetrap YouTube channel. But I was just into it, you know, and I was just excited about it. And, you know, I was watching it for a few days, right, on and off. I was just kind of absorbed into it, and then I showed my girlfriend it, and she was like, "Cool," and I was like, "Yeah, I guess this is pretty awesome, isn't it?" and I don't know. And then I came up with a short story. I think I was in the bath when I wrote the vast majority of the story. It was a real easy write, and I was very proud of it very quickly, which is why it exists. Kind of going to be 3 in 1, but they're all related. What did you want to be when you grew up? Is Big Joel forever? I know you wrote short stories, so have you ever considered leveraging your success to boost a career in writing, novels, screenplays, or some other creative field? So I'll answer these questions one by one. What did I want to be when I grew up? A writer of any kind. You know, I wanted to write screenplays. I wanted to write comedy sketches, stuff like that. You know, I always just wanted to be a writer. Ever since I was 5 years old. So, you know, mazel tov for me, I guess, you know, good for me. Is Big Joel forever is the second question. I suppose so. I think in some form, Big Joel is forever, you know, unless the channel is deleted or something bad happens. I have a hard time imagining never making YouTube videos. I can imagine picking up a different profession or getting involved in something else and sort of having Big Joel take a different role in my life. but I can't imagine never making YouTube videos because I really like it. I really like making YouTube videos. But I say that now, but if I, wrote the next Incredible Hulk movie, maybe I would feel differently. Maybe I would say, I'll just do the Hulk at that point. We'll see. We'll see when the time comes. Have you ever considered leveraging your success to boost a career in writing? I mean, yeah, of course, in some way. I mean, I told myself when I released You're Into Mousetrap YouTube that if it's too successful, if it gets like 1 million views within a pretty narrow time frame, a few weeks, a month, whatever, I would force myself to write a book of some kind because it would be fun to write a book. And if everyone really loved that video and everyone watched it, it would probably mean that there was an audience for a book of mine. Probably, I don't know, 1 million views on YouTube on a short story is weird, right? So it would mean that there was something there. So yes, I've considered it. But I also don't want to I don't want to do anything that doesn't feel natural. I just want it to feel good. I want to make good YouTube videos, and I wouldn't want to start making YouTube videos that exist to be in service of my true brand desires. I just want to keep making YouTube videos, and some of those maybe would be fiction, right? Would be different kinds of stuff, but we'll see. It doesn't have 1 million views yet, but so not a problem. I don't have to write a book. I'm going to answer one more question because I feel like this video is getting long, and then I'll save the rest of the questions or whatever new questions for next month. So I'll answer one more question. Let's see. Starkey Johnston asks, how's your vaping journey doing? Last time I heard you were switching to a non-nicotine vape. Are you still trying to quit? I'm not still smoking non-nicotine vapes. I do still vape, but one thing I'm really happy about is that I just vape a whole lot less than I used to. I used to vape all the time, and it was really annoying. And if I had to be without the vape, I felt bad about it. And these days, it's kind of okay. I just don't think I'm all that wrapped up in the vape game anymore. I've gone weeks without it. It's just something I like to do sometimes. But this sounds like a real cope. But I do think there's truth in it that I just don't care as much about vaping as I used to. And I can imagine dropping it forever. I think that that's in my horizons, but we're not there yet, but we'll see. I don't know. But yes, I would like to go back to not vaping nicotine. The one problem with that, and I think any vapor can tell you this, it kind of fucks with the vape. When it doesn't have the nicotine, for whatever reason, it doesn't burn very well. I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe a scientist could tell me, but it doesn't work right. So that stresses me out. If that wasn't a problem, I swear I would never vape with nicotine. I think I'd be fine. I don't think I'm that seriously addicted to nicotine. I think the real truth is that, and this is a much more embarrassing truth, that I actually am addicted to vaping water vapor into my lungs. I just like getting a little bit of vapor into my lungs. I don't know why. Okay, this is actually way easier and more fun than I thought it would be. I thought it might be a little bit difficult. We'll see how good it is as I edit it. I'll put a thumbs up or thumbs down or a middle thumb in post to tell you what I thought of the video, and you can be the judge in the comments yourself. So I hope you enjoyed this, and have a good day. And if you want to ask me a question, you can do that on Patreon. Go to my Patreon and ask me a question, and there's a good chance that it'll be answered next month. So that's cool, right? I don't know. Maybe it's cool.